and thank you for tuning in to Life, Love, Marriage, Divorce Conversations. I am your host, Monique Davis Dotson, and my beautiful co-hosts are with me today, Tina Todd Jones, Brie Henderson, and Kim Porcher. Thank you guys for joining us today. What's going on, ladies?
Hi, how are you? How's everyone doing?
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Morning. Excited to be here. All right, let's just dive right into it. Okay, March Madness. Let's go for it. March Madness. Kim, I know you have something to say about Michigan.
Oh yeah, Michigan. I'm excited. We're going. They won. They pushed through. It was a great game.
Good game.
I'm proud of Michigan. So we're going to the Elite Eight. Let's go.
Yes. Yes. Well, you guys see what I'm wearing today. Go Cougs. Yes. It's gonna be great. So excited. So much great basketball. And the Baylor men, they play today too. It's some good stuff going on. And so we have Houston's playing Oregon State, Arkansas playing Baylor today. It's tomorrow, USC, Gonzaga. That's who Tina say is gonna take it. I mean, they are very impressive.
They haven't lost the game yet.
That's right. Undefeated. They're gonna make history.
Yeah. And then, also tomorrow, UCLA, Michigan. That UCLA Alabama game. Did y'all watch that?
Ooh. That last second was crucial. He hit that
into overtime.
Clean. Yes.
Wow.
I was like, because I'm thinking, oh, well, Alabama tried.
Yeah, they had their heads down. So that lets you
I had
know.
my head down for them.
Don't ever give up until the last,
right?
Until the song goes off.
It ain't over until the fat lady sings.
That's right.
Fat lady. Yeah, exactly. And she wasn't singing yet.
Yesterday.
That's right. I mean, they've shown that over and over again on the highlights, and it was much deserving.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. But unfortunately, Alabama couldn't pull it through. You can't miss all those free throws, Bama. Come on.
Right.
That was,
right.
Come on.
That's routine ball right there. You practice that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
That's your given shot. You're not supposed to give that one up.
Yeah. That was some good basketball. That was quite exciting. That was the game. That was the game of the day last week, in my opinion. I mean, yesterday, game of the day, yesterday. That was pretty good. Tina, I know because Tina's son, Dylan, my nephew, he played basketball. So that had to be pretty exciting to watch.
Watching the Gonzaga game, and he came in and he was like, "Mom, really?" And I said, "Why? What's going on?" He was like, "We go for the underdogs." I said, "Well, you don't get out my room." No. He's like, "Underdogs." So he was going for Creighton. I was going for Gonzaga. So he ended up leaving. So he was done with me.
He had to because Gonzaga just put a poor little beating on.
Yeah, no, he was done. He walked out. He was maybe 30 seconds and he was gone.
Yeah. So we also have Elite Eight action tonight with the women. So Baylor and UConn. That's gonna be a game right there. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I gotta watch both of them. And India's running today for prelims. And so I'll have my iPad, my phone, trying to watch all of this stuff. I tell you. And then so you have like I said, Baylor, UConn. That's gonna be a game. And then Indiana and Arizona, they play today. And then who is it?
Stanford too, right?
Yeah, Stanford.
Yeah.
Women.
Yeah. It's UT in South Carolina. They play tomorrow, as well as Louisville and Stanford. Now Stanford is, they're always good. So we have to see. I don't know who to choose. That's gonna be a good one.
Be a good one.
That's gonna be a good one. So, some good basketball, and I'm a football girl, but I'm getting excited.
I'm so upset. Sister Jean had to go home.
Sister Jean had to go home. The Lord said,
"It was a good one."
Hey, Brie, you said the fat lady thing. Jesus said, Mr. Jean, come on home.
Come on.
Right,
home.
right.
So colorful.
What you
She
say?
wasn't ready. She wasn't ready.
I said she's so colorful, isn't she?
Well, you know what? The Lord said it's Holy Week. We need her to come on home. We need her to come home.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Sister Jean, you know your place.
Y'all leave Sister Jean alone.
We
I
love
know, right?
Jean. We love Sister Jean. We'll see her next year. We'll see her next year. Okay.
Oh, the 2021 NFL draft is coming out.
It's coming up.
And it's going to be live in Cleveland this year. They're going to do it, disperse it in 4 major venues. The stadium where the Cleveland Browns play being one, the Science Center being another. There is a COVID restriction. If you're going to be in the inner circle, everybody has to be vaccinated. So they're doing their part as far as the NFL to stay in alignment with the COVID way that everybody is doing it. Yeah, so that should be exciting for these up and coming players, unlike last year. And they're inviting tens of thousands of people. They want to test this out to see if they can go ahead and fill the stadiums up for the upcoming season. So there will be, they're looking at playing only 17 games this year, eliminating the OTAs and stuff like that, where the players are starting way in March through April, and then some of the early spring training camps in June. They're trying to eliminate that because they realized and recognized last year that it wasn't necessary. Give the guys some time to go ahead, heal, and be healthy, and then go into the game. So there might be some changes coming through the NFL.
You guys saw that Sharon Osbourne is out of the top.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, what you said?
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I saw
Holly's mom, did you see Holly's
Holly's
mom?
mom said bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, bye, Felicia.
Dolores Robinson said, "You won't come for my baby." How about that?
When we put it on Facebook, she was like, bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh my God.
Dolores Robinson don't play about her baby.
Bear don't play.
Don't at all.
That is hilarious.
Don't
Well,
play. Well, you know, they had to pay her $1 million, so hey. It is what it is at this point.
I'm sure more info will come leaking out eventually, because I'm sure there's a non-disclosure for her.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Who, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we'll see what happens. Very, very interesting. They're very interesting.
Yeah, they're on hiatus, so I don't think they return until mid-April, like April 12th or the 15th or something like that. So hopefully they'll have a new host.
I hope
We'll
Holly's
see.
not back. I'm looking for Holly Robinson.
Holly and Lee come back, right? Both of them.
Well, I don't know, because they have, normally it's what? It was 5 people on the show, and they already have 4.
What's one more? What's one more? What's one more?
Right.
They were good together. Those two were really good together. So.
Okay.
We'll see
Well,
what happens.
we will
see.
see. We will see what happens, and I don't know what, is in store for Sharon Osbourne, but I will say this. God gives us chances and he forgives us, and she has the same right. And I pray that during her time, maybe there are some reflection that she can look within herself, and maybe she can rectify those mistakes and get better. I don't wish, ill. As a Christian, you can't wish ill on anybody, because we are all walks in progress, and that I'm sure none of us want to be judged by the things we may have said in the past, or the things we may even do in the future and we mess up, right? None of us are perfect. Right. And so if I pray that if for her, that she can have the same redemption, and that people will look at her in that light, and she can get her, her life in order the way that needs to be between her and God. Next, did y'all hear about the radio show host that was comparing Black female celebrities to burnt toast. Okay. So if you haven't heard out there, audience, there's a radio show host in Buffalo by the name of Rob Letterman for 97 Rock. So he was talking about how he liked his toast, how burnt he likes his toast. And so he decided to compare the shade of his toast to 3 Black female celebrities. He says that he prefers his toast to look like Halle Berry, but he does not prefer his toast to look like Serena Williams, and it was pretty adamant about it, as well as the question was asked, what about Gayle King? And he said no. He got fired for that, rightfully so. Halle Berry came back and she's, made a comment like, get the out of here. Which, hey, what do you guys have to say about that? Is that crazy or what, Brie? Give me some, Brie. Give me your opinion.
He said he liked the mulatto preference. You got to have a little mulatto standing. I'm like, unbelievable. But then he claims ignorance, but his opening statement before he even said that was,
Brie,
you didn't hear me, huh? I thought you didn't hear me.
What you say? Girl, keep it moving.
I said he likes you, Brie. He don't like me, and he don't like Kim, but he like you. Monique might be a little let me see.
A little Halle Berry.
No, y'all stupid.
I know, right?
Go ahead, Brie. Go ahead. Don't pay them no mind.
Sorry, Brie. I'm sorry.
He claims the ignorance on this, but he prefaced his opening statement by saying, I'm probably going to get in trouble for this.
Exactly. So
then he's like, he's gone to the NAACP, he's gone to the clergy to find out how he can improve himself in being able to better understand our culture. That was not only racist, but it was also sexist.
Very, very, very much.
So I'm like, they all say, well, I didn't understand, or teach me your culture. You know that this is sensitive anyway. He stood in his truth. He was talking in his truth. Yeah. The other 2 that were on that show also are on suspension. The one guy that kept egging it on and getting more information has lost all of his side job endorsement. So I don't know what's going to happen to the young lady, but I think that they all need to go into training.
What I don't understand is, why do they always want to be taught? Oh, please teach me your culture. I don't know. Why say it? It's like you knew what you were saying. So after you got fired, it's like, oh, can you teach me about your culture? Come on now, really.
What do you think, Kim?
Foreign language. It was horrible. It's just degrading and demeaning. You didn't have to go there. He could have thought of anything else other than comparing women to burnt toast.
Yeah. Well, this is what I think. Touching on what Tina was saying as far as educate and teach me. I do think that some people are oblivious when they're trying to make jokes, or not all of them. I just want to say some people. And when you live in a certain bubble, you don't have a real understanding of how people live. Or I do think that is a very a genuine and authentic, reality to life. There are some things that I may not know about certain cultures, or might say something, or or think something, or assume something, and you think it's okay, and you may not know how offensive it really is. Now, I'm not saying this for this particular case, but when people are asking to be educated, we do need to be open-minded in giving them that education. So if they, at least you gave it to them.
Right.
You can't say that we didn't give it to you. So if you're going to ask, I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to give it to you real and raw. And you will never in your life be able to say, educate me, because you have the opportunity. So do you really want to be educated or learn? And that's for some people who don't know what's offensive because they've grown up in certain eras where this stuff was okay. And they've just said things.
How about you educate yourself before you speak?
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Just don't speak if you don't know.
And then make jokes about it.
Yeah.
I saw that he has like a comedy club or something in New York, Buffalo. So he's a comedian. So he said that at, to be kind of jokey, but
Yeah.
that wasn't a joke. That's
Yeah.
not funny.
Yeah,
Right.
and I don't think it was funny at all. And I'm not saying, since you brought that up, that's what I was thinking. He was trying to be funny, but I'm just I'm just saying that when people do say educate me and they really want to be educated, then we should be open-minded into helping.
It's like, do you really not know that that's not the right thing to say? I think it's like Tina said, educate yourself before you go on air live and say something. Like it was intentional, and he got fired, and now you want to come back and play the I don't understand the culture card. That's no, you know.
Especially when he said that, oh, I might get in trouble for
Yes,
this.
absolutely. You already know that.
I'm saying that I agree. I'm taking.
No. We're not saying that you don't. We were just, just
Yeah.
making a statement out there.
And yes, it's okay to but try to do that, educate yourself prior to opening your mouth.
Okay, so going into our conversation topic of the day, went kind of deep last week. We're going to do a part 2 from last week's conversation, which was how do you prepare your children to meet the other woman, anybody other than a mom. And that goes for men too, same thing. How do you prepare your kids to meet the other guy? Whatever that definition of other is to you. And so the reason I wanted to have a part 2 was because that question was so deep. We had conversation after, because it brought up a lot of memories. It kind of had a little, a little piercing of the heart in a ways, and I wanted to talk about those real emotions of how the ladies felt about the question, as well as the most important thing, what advice you guys would really give somebody who is facing that situation right now. Now, I spoke about that I have not had to encounter Santana coming to me to say, hey, I want the kids to meet, XYZ or whomever I felt was a part of the demise of the relationship. We decided, even with unspoken talk, just by actions, of working on our family. And you guys know that my relationship with Santana, we're close. We talk just outside of the kids, or text each other crazy things. And we really have formed a friendship, a family. On top of that, we do things such as family, holidays. We've been doing that for years. And so our family has been the priority, other than anybody that we feel, okay, the kids, okay, you should meet this person. That just has not been something that's been important. Maybe my belief is that he don't have anybody important in his life enough to meet his kids. And so, and because this is the most important thing to him. Now I'm speaking for him. This is my assumption based on the actions that I see. However, that is why I said that I've been blessed that I've not had to go through that. If I had to, it will require real conversation. Real deep conversation. How would my comfort level be if it was somebody that I thought that was a part of the demise? It probably wouldn't. I wouldn't be happy about it. I wouldn't. And I would be, would be challenged. Now, I want Centennial to be as happy as he possibly can be. He's my family. He's my forever friend. But this is the thing that I believe that I know about him. I've been knowing him for 36 years. When a person or when something, when a divorce happens and people have time to reflect, it is in my opinion that there are roads that you don't want to cross again once you learn from mistakes made. And if the family is the most important thing to you, even when you make your mistakes, right? Even when because we all do. I'm not perfect, right? Even when if the family is the most important thing to you, it trumps everything. And I think that is what he has decided was going to be best for him, in the areas that maybe he fell short in, that he does not want anything to come before the family. And that's including me, because I'm a part of his family. And like I said, that's that's based on action. Will he have conversation if it ever comes to that? Yes. Do I want him to be happy? Absolutely. And we will work through that. Brie, what's your advice to somebody? What do you want to say about that?
Well, I mean, this brings up so many different dynamics. One, real talk. When you meet a man or a woman and they're married, you're sitting up there praying for a soulmate. God, bring me somebody to love me. God doesn't bring you a married man or a married woman. Amen on that one. Mm-hmm. Two, when you start to form a relationship and it's with a married man, what you should say, or a married woman, is go handle your business, finish that business. Once that's taken care of, if we still have feelings for each other, then we'll go on. Sometimes it just doesn't work out like that. But you have these incidents where some of these relationships are 5 years, 14 years. This other person, whether it's unavoidable, that other person involved in that other relationship, if they have kids, have already formed a relationship with that person's particular kid's family. So that particular woman or man sees how fluid that relationship is with their kids and automatically assume that they could have that relationship with yours. It doesn't always work out like that. They've formed a relationship with other people's children. And that dynamic is wonderful over there. But that perception, these guys or women are lying about what's really going on in that home, mm-hmm. and this home. So I look at it like that other person needs to give the children the opportunity to want to envelop in that relationship slowly. Just like Tina said, you can't say, oh, I think if they met each other, they would just get along very well. I think that sometimes those mistresses or paramours or whatever you want to call them are so involved in that relationship that they assume all the responsibilities. In my case, sometimes I was told what the other person's thoughts were on, well, you should do this with the kids and this with the kids. And I'm sitting there like, are you telling me from another person how to raise our kids? So there are no boundaries. And I think that if they're going to have those type of relationships, kids are off limits. I got in a precarious situation with this in particular, and I'm very sensitive about it. But my kids are off limits. I am their mother. And I think that the other partner in the relationship, whether you're going through a divorce, separation, living together, whatever it is, and there are kids involved, the person that's stepping out has to establish boundaries.
Mhm.
I mean, definitively establish boundaries. Whatever is going on over there has nothing to do with you. We got our thing over here, but that woman or man should never be able to breach that sacred ground. He has to establish boundaries. There were no boundaries. No boundaries.
So,
No.
so let me ask you this, because I get what you're saying, because that's deep. I'm getting goosebumps listening to, you say that. When you say the other person needs to establish those boundaries, if the spouse in question is allowing them to cross the boundaries, they don't know which boundaries to establish, because the boundary has already been, breached as far as the trust, because they're not with their spouse, the person they are legally married to. They are, meeting this person wherever, they're sharing their life with them or whatever it is. You're asking somebody to establish boundaries that never had any.
Right.
So how do you, what is the advice? Because that advice can't be to the other. That advice has to be articulated to the person that you're married to, because only they can establish the boundaries. And the reason I say that is because they have to establish the boundaries for self. Am I going to let this other person come into this union? If things are not going well with my partner and I'm giving somebody some false information or fake news, and I'm not making excuses for the others, I'm just saying you're asking somebody to do something that they're not equipped to do, because the person that's allowing them to go zigzag all over has to be the one to say, this part is off limits, because I'm not even about to talk to you about, maybe I'm having some issues at home, but we can't be talking about the future for my kids. That's the boundary is that what I'm hearing you say? That's the boundary that person needs to establish?
Yeah.
So Brie, your advice would be what? Now that you know what you know, what is your advice?
The communication being key, and sitting down with that partner and establishing the boundaries. This is between you and I. We're trying to establish a way of moving forward for both myself, for you, but more importantly, our kids. And that should be the center of our focus. The other outside distractions are exactly what they are, distractions. Right. We need to zoom back in and always concentrate that the main focus is the best interest of our kids. We won't be always in agreement on things, but at least be open enough to listen to my voice as well as me listening to your voice. But the common denominator always has to be the best interest of our kids.
Yeah.
I wish I moved like that in the beginning, but like you said, it's a process that you have to reflect on and say, what could I have done better?
Right. Right.
And that's where I had to grow to.
And I love it. And I like that honesty, because that's why I do Life, Love, Marriage, Divorce, period. From the blogs to the podcast to the YouTube, to having these conversations, is because this is real stuff. You have real people and feelings and emotion. This stuff is hard, but the good news is that you can get through it. The good news is that we can share these testimonies to prayerfully help somebody else navigate. You're going to go through all these kind of crazy emotions, right? I'm telling you, okay? And everybody's situation may not look like a Santana and Monique, but it can. That's why I share it. I am no different from anyone else. It took the work in my mind to say, where can we meet in the middle? Tina, tell me what's your hindsight and what kind of advice can you give somebody who, may be crossing this path?
I guess it's the same advice that I gave you guys last week. It's just, you know, let it take its course. It's going to eventually work out. But what Brie was talking about, I totally remember when, and I don't want to go back to this, but I think it's kind of important that when, when my ex decided, okay, I'm going to move on, which was fairly fast, I had to decide this that okay, well, since you're going to move on, I need to meet um, the woman
Mm,
because I need to know who's around my child.
mhm,
Not my oldest because they're grown, but my youngest, she's a minor. I need to know who's going to be around her, what kind of woman she is. And my ex was like, well, why you need to meet her?
mm,
And I was like, what do you mean? Why do I need to meet her? This woman's gonna be around my child. I need to know who's gonna be around my child. And if the situation was reversed, you know, my guy, whoever, would definitely have to meet, my child's father. But he
mhm,
couldn't see that. He couldn't
mhm,
see it. It took a long time for him to finally set up a meeting for us to meet. And
mhm.
that's just something I just didn't get. Like, wouldn't you want me to know? Wouldn't you want me to be comfortable with, the woman that's going to be, really taking care of my child when she's at your house?
Yeah,
So that's a little different. It was a little different, but we finally got that together. But, that's hard. So I understand what you mean, Brie, about what you said. It's difficult, but you
yeah,
got to put those feelings aside because they're going to do what they're going to do regardless. So you just have to what get with the program and not be bitter.
Right, right.
Really, why
that,
be
that,
bitter? You
yeah,
moved on.
yeah,
You move on. Get yourself together.
yeah.
And so it took a little while for that, but it's all good now.
And that's one of the things that I loved about, Tina, during her journey. It's because it was really, really tough. But this is the thing. She's like, you know what? I meet my when my daughter is going to her friend house, I know whose house she going into.
I know.
And I'm the same way. My kids can't go anywhere where I haven't had a conversation or met that person and had some eyes on the person.
I didn't wait for him, but it did take a long time, but I needed to know,
Yeah,
I need to know, and I needed to set some boundaries, that's my child, I discipline, Sean discipline. That's it. If there's a problem, you take it up with the dad or you call me and take it up with me.
that's
So as long as
that's
we're straight on that, we're cool. We're
and then
good.
Right.
let me ask you this. Has that request been honored as far as
No, I have no problems.
okay.
I have no problems, but I haven't gotten to that point. You know
Right.
how I am. So haven't gotten to that. So
Don't get
hopefully
to it. Don't
everything
get to
will
it. If you
fall
know what I
through.
know, don't just listen. Just listen, lady.
Yep.
Right. Don't get it
Y'all
confused.
good.
Right. Don't get confused. You might be replacing me as the wife or the
Right.
girlfriend or whatever, but you will never replace me as my children's mother. And that's
Well,
a role that they should not want to assume.
well,
So we're just hoping that, hey, look, let's just communicate. I
well,
mean, if it was the other way around, they would want us to respect their children. So that's the same in kind that we're asking. It's
well,
not
Brie, I
it.
had that conversation. She's told me, she says, well, I will look at it like I would never replace you, or I'm not trying to replace you as a mother. So I just laughed like,
Right.
you could never replace
Right.
me. Could never. I don't even know why that came out of her mouth.
But
So
that's
I
the
don't know,
power
but,
we're
but
standing.
still,
Just
I know
trying
my
to be nice. She was just trying to make conversation.
trying to be trying, whatever. But I know my kids, and my kids are very protective, and they
Yeah,
love their mom. They
yeah,
love their dad too,
Right.
and they have a very good dad.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to take that from him. He's a very good dad.
Good dad.
But, you know, like you said, boundaries is everything. Communication's everything too. So,
Boundaries. I mean, key word.
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, and I think that we should also understand that if you are a parent, you are protective of your own children, then you
Mhm.
need to, part of boundaries and being respectful is to know that you will want that same respect from somebody else if you were in that position. Kim, wrap us up. Tell me what your thoughts are, Kim.
Um, in my experience, I tried to create those boundaries um, with my ex and with the other woman, um, and it just didn't go so well. So my advice, and I'm gonna just leave it at that, is pour into your children more than anything, and sometimes children don't want to disappoint either parent, and they try to protect both parents.
Mm-hmm.
But my conversation in communicating with my children more than anything
Yes.
is for them to feel comfortable with coming and talking to me and talking to their father, because there has been things happen to the children, even though nothing major, but you can go and talk to the other woman and things still happen. The ex-husband can go and say, hey, these are the boundaries, don't put your hand on my kids. It still happened in my case. And then I have to go SWATs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's Southwest Atlanta on them. So have a conversation with your children, and then they feel comfortable. As one of my children had to come to me with something, and then neither, my ex is like, I'll handle it. No, you tried to handle it, but now I will.
Mm.
So my advice: make sure your children have a clear understanding that they aren't mistreated and they are communicating with you as a parent, the other parent, or vice versa. Because if I was with my significant other now, and something happened and they don't feel comfortable with talking to me, feel comfortable with talking to your dad about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll figure it out from there. Because it doesn't always go as smooth as we like it to go, where you're creating boundaries, because other people don't respect or love your children the way you do.
Never.
So they're still going to try and be, in some cases, try to be, you know, loving to who they're coming into that relationship with, and they want to do everything right. But that's not always the case. It just doesn't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure your kids trust you, and don't worry about hurting the parents' feelings. It's very important that they come in and communicate with you about what's going on.
I have been fortunate that my kids do and had shared communication with me. I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly. So that's what empowered me to move forward and just dismiss that situation. My focus is my kids, and you try to get him to come along, but like you said, the purpose of getting to know that other person, especially when the children are minor, is only for their protection. And I think that that partner would want that type of cohesiveness between you or the significant other or whatever. So I think that this has been a very teaching moment for everybody. I mean, Monique, what you were saying was very poignant. I think that it is a foundation for a lot of people to strive to. I mean, it's not always going to work out that way based on the characteristics of the people in play. But fortunately, we came out of this by the grace of God. on the
Amen.
other side. My kids are doing well and they're thriving, and hopefully for somebody else that's watching this, that it's going to benefit them.
Yeah, that's always the prayer and the hope. And there are different scenarios for everybody. We're sharing ours. And at the end of the day, we hope that you guys get that, all things are possible in time. And it's not always going to look pretty. It's not always going to be pretty. It's going to be challenging because you have human beings with emotions and feelings, people who feel that they know what's best for, be it the kids, for themselves, even for the spouse or the ex, right? Um, but you have to dig deep within yourself to set the tone and the boundaries that you choose for your children. And I love what Kim said. Always have that open door for your kids so that they know that there's always a safe zone and a safe place, even when they feel they may not be heard by the other parent. They're going through their own challenges and their own emotions. They love their parents. Sometimes they're too afraid just to tell their parent the truth because they don't want to hurt that parent feeling,
Exactly.
their feelings, and they're carrying things that's so heavy that they shouldn't, right? So it's going to take one parent to be the more mature party at whatever given time, right? And you're going to be frustrated if the other parent don't see what they're doing. 9 times out of 10 they don't, but that doesn't mean that down the line they can't. It doesn't mean down the line that you can restore some of these friendships and your family obligations of what we're saying. It's not going to happen at the same pace, but I'm saying it can happen if you have two willing parties. Most of the time, it starts with that particular individual making a decision of that I want to do better, right?
Right.
That I need to do better.
Mhm.
And taking something what Tina says, you're not waiting on the other person to do better. You trying to do better on your own.
That is
And when you
correct.
do that, you set the tone for your kids at the end of the day. So that is what I hope that you guys get. We'll continue to dive deep into these conversations and putting it all out there on the table. I wanted to just to continue to tell my sisters how much I love them because this stuff isn't easy. It brings up real raw emotions of the past. But the thing about doing that is, boy, look how far we've come.
Amen.
God is good. So I'm going to end because we are in Holy Week. Easter is this upcoming Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. So I want to leave you with guys with this. John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. As we honor Holy Week, this scripture is a reminder that Jesus proved his love by laying his life on the cross. There is no greater love than this. Blessings and love to you all. Just continue to know that you are so loved, that he laid down his life for his friends.
Mhm.
And get better than that. So walk into that. Know who you are, that you are worthy, and that some of these things that we talked about, that he was able to lay it all on the cross for us. That's why we're here today. So you can get through anything with that kind of love that God gave to us all. Thank you guys for tuning in to Life, Love, Marriage, Divorce Conversations, and we will see you next week. Go Cougs.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Easter.
Happy Easter.